Hi guys, it's Shell, Heart of It All Custom Creations. Welcome back to another video. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Hit that subscribe button to see future videos. I post new videos every Wednesday and Saturday. So today, for the very last video of 2022, I decided to do a wine tumbler for New Year's. So I'm starting with this 12-ounce stainless steel wine tumbler, and I'm going to go ahead and sand it down and clean it off before I go to paint it. So I'm just using my sanding sponge and making sure to get off that very top coat, the protective coating over the stainless steel that they all have. So that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm taking 91% alcohol after that and going to clean up the tumbler to get it ready to paint. So I'm just going to use some basic acrylic black paint. At the time of doing this, I could not spray paint it, so acrylic paint it was. And I'm just putting a couple dabs around it and using my makeup brush to apply it. And after I get this coat done, I do go in with a second coat in some spots because the stainless was still kind of peeking through a little bit. So I do give it 2 coats in some spots, but normally this black paint does very well. And then this is what we're looking at when it's dry. So I'm going to use these gold flakes and this foil sheet that I got from the Vinyl Cottage to apply to the tumbler. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut off a square, because I'm not going to use the whole sheet, obviously, and I'm not covering the entire tumbler. So I'm just going to cut off a little square to use and then set the rest of the foil aside for future use. So to apply these foils, I am going to use Tack It over and over. And I just put a little bit on my parchment paper there so that I can dab my brush into it. And I'm going to do this kind of like a brush stroke. I guess it is technically brush stroke. So that it kind of looks messy-ish. But I want it to be thicker at the bottom and skinnier at the top. Kind of in some spots. You'll see what I'm doing here. And you can see how I just kind of let it drag up so I get those brush strokes towards the top. And I'm just going to go around and kind of leave a space and then move over. And some I'm making taller, some I'm making shorter. I just kind of want this somewhat random, but a constructive random. And this Tack It over and over is going to tack down. You can see it's white and then it'll turn clear when it's completely ready. So I'm just going to continue to go around and add the brush strokes where I want it. And I'm not doing the bottom. I'm just doing up from the bottom to about the middle of the wine tumbler. And once I'm satisfied with that, I do let this dry, help it along with my heat gun, because, I'm impatient. So you can see it's like going from white to clear. And once it's clear, you're ready. So the foil, like I said, is from the Vinyl Cottage, and they have a ton to choose from. So I'll definitely be getting more. This is my first time using it. And so I'm just placing the foil over it and rubbing it down for that Tack It to adhere to the foil. And then once it's rubbed down really good, it's easier to use either like a popsicle stick or a Ccdiy scraper. But obviously didn't grab it this particular moment, but I do end up finding it. So then once you get that all rubbed down, just kind of peel back a little bit, kind of like rub-on transfers is, I guess, what you would consider this kind of like. But when you pull it back, it leaves the top sheet on and then reveals the pattern underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and put this foil on everywhere that has the tacket before I move on to the next one. The next step, that is. So about here, I decided that one spot had too much black in between. So I just added a little strip there, letting it dry real quick. And then I'm going to apply some more of this foil. And I obviously at this point did not get enough tacket on it. So I did have to go in and add just a little bit more tacket to make that foil stick. And then I think my tacket was starting to dry down on my parchment paper, so I just had to work at it and then add the foil on. So get that done, and this is what we're looking like so far. You could leave it like this, but I wanted to amp it up just a little bit using the gold flakes. So I'm going to go back to the tacket, added more to my parchment paper, and I'm going to go in between and add some brush strokes in between each of those leopard brush strokes. Brush strokes. I do allow my tacket to somewhat overlap some of the leopard spots, just so that there can look like a little bit more dimension. Once I'm happy with all of that, I do allow this to dry using my heat gun, of course, before going to make an entire mess using the gold flakes. So, yep, checking it just to make sure it's tacky enough and grabbing out my gold flakes. These are an absolute mess, but the end result ends up being completely stunning. And I think I'm still finding gold flakes everywhere in my room because these things float. So I'm just adding the little pieces of gold flakes to it, rubbing it in, and then I will use a chip brush to kind of brush away anything that should not be there. Here I switched to a smaller chip brush to get some of those more stubborn pieces away. And I'm just going to continue going around the tumbler and adding these gold flakes where they should be. And now I'm just going to go ahead and go over the entire tumbler, brushing away all that excess gold flakes And then I'm going to look and see if I need to add anything, which I decided there was a spot or two where I kind of wanted to extend the leopard print, or where the gold flakes may have taken over where the foil was, the leopard print foil. And so I'm just going back here, again, adding more tacket, and then adding more of this leopard print foil over those. And this is what it's looking like so far, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I am going to seal this because of the gold flakes. It has sometimes a tendency to repel epoxy, so I am going to seal this using 2 times Rustoeleum clear, give it a coat of epoxy, and then I'm going to go into my vinyl work. So I found a SVG on Creative Fabrica. It'll be listed in the description box below, along with everything else I used. And it just says sometimes wine is necessary, but I didn't want to do it all in one color. I kind of wanted some of it to pop, so I decided to go with a red vinyl. So here I'm weeding out the words. My eye, the dot on my eye was being stubborn, so I had to fix that, and then weed out the little extras that's in the words. But then I figured I'll just wait because it was really intricate, the skinny writing. I just decided to wait until I got it onto the tumbler itself. Again, going back with this transfer tape that I hate, but I just got some new one in, so I'm excited. So I'm going to apply this where the foils don't go up all the way on the tumbler, where it's mostly the black paint. So I'm cutting that down to make it easier to work with, and then applying that to the wine tumbler. And then I will move into weeding out the gold vinyl to add that in between where that needs to go. And here I'm just going to reverse weed because these are, of course, smaller letters, and it was just easier to reverse weed it. If you're not sure what reverse weeding is as you can see, I applied the whole thing to the transfer tape and then pull away the backing, which makes it so much easier when working with smaller letters. Less chance of any of the letters lifting off with your excess vinyl that you don't want to lose. So this is reverse weeding, and then I placed it back on the sheet because way too much transfer tape, and I'm just going to cut it down to make it a lot more manageable. So once I get that, I go ahead and pull off the backing again, and then place this exactly where it should go. And then I will rub that down, making sure it's good and adhered to the tumbler before I pull off my transfer tape. So now that I have all that vinyl, I am going to go in with my weeding pen and pull off any of the little bits that either stuck or the center pieces of the letters to completely weed those out. So now I'm going to go ahead and seal this with the Ccdiy quick coat, give it 2 final coats of epoxy, and she will be done. And I really love how this turned out. Look how stunning. But I just want to take a moment and thank every single one of you so much for the last year. It has meant absolutely everything to me. And I want to wish you a happy new year. Cannot wait to see what 2023 brings. If you liked this video, give it a great big thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys. Happy New Year.